never expected that one moment of innocent curiosity could flip my entire world upside down. My name is Aaliyah, and though this story centers around a boy named Ray and his friend's mother, I am the one who lived through every emotional twist of it. I was there, and I watched as everything unfolded, not from a distance, but from within. This story changed my understanding of love, identity, and the quiet whispers of the heart. It all started on a late summer afternoon in the quiet suburbs of our neighborhood. Ray, my childhood friend, was like a brother to me. We had grown up together, ridden our bikes through the cul-de-sac, shared secrets on rooftops, and supported each other through everything. I never once imagined that his life could shift in a way that even he didn't anticipate, and that I would be pulled into the emotional whirlwind that followed. Ray had invited me over to his place to hang out, as we often did during those long, lazy holidays. We were both in college now, but it still felt like home whenever we were back in the neighborhood. His mom, Mrs. Harper, was someone I had known for years. She was elegant in a way that made you stop and stare, not just because of her looks, though she was strikingly beautiful with those warm hazel eyes and soft, chestnut curls that always fell neatly over her shoulder, but because of how calm and composed she always appeared. There was a strength in her, something I admired deeply. That day, Ray had stepped out to pick up some snacks. I was lounging in the living room when Mrs. Harper walked in, dressed in a soft white blouse and jeans, her hair pinned up loosely. She seemed preoccupied, flipping through some papers in her hand. I glanced up briefly and then back at the TV, but I couldn't help myself. My eyes wandered. It wasn't desire that made me stare, it was admiration, maybe even curiosity. There was something in the way she moved, so confidently with purpose. She looked like someone who had stories buried deep inside her, stories only a few were lucky enough to hear. She noticed. She caught me looking. I froze. She didn't yell. She didn't scold. Instead, she smiled softly, almost knowingly, and said something that made my heart race. "You see something you like, Aaliyah?" I blinked, stunned, unsure if I had imagined her voice. My mouth went dry. Was she teasing me? Testing me? Or was there something else in her tone? Something deeper? I didn't mean to stare, I stammered, cheeks burning with embarrassment. She set the papers down and walked over to me, her movements unhurried. Her eyes locked onto mine, and in that moment, the air between us changed. It wasn't awkwardness, it was a gentle shift, like the quiet hush before rain. "You don't have to apologize for looking," she said. "Sometimes the eyes see what the heart is too afraid to speak." That single line unlocked something within me, and I think it did the same for her. Over the next few weeks, I found myself visiting Ray more often. Sometimes he'd be around, and sometimes he'd be out with friends, leaving me and Mrs. Harper alone. Her name was Clara. I never called her that before, but eventually, it slipped out naturally. Clara and I began having deep conversations about life, relationships, loneliness, and dreams lost and found. I learned she had been separated from Ray's father for over a year now, quietly, without much drama. She had put on a strong front for Ray, never wanting him to feel caught in the middle. But behind that strength, there was so much tenderness, so much yearning. It was during one of those late afternoon talks that I finally asked her about what she said that day. "Why did you say that to me about the eyes and the heart?" She looked at me with a gentle sadness and replied, "Because I've spent most of my life pretending not to notice the things I felt, hoping if I ignored them, they'd go away. But they never do. And sometimes when someone else sees you, really sees you, it feels like breathing for the first time." I didn't know what to say. I only knew that something inside me was responding to her words, something that had been dormant for too long. One evening, Ray was out at a late-night party. I had dropped by to return a book, not expecting Clara to answer the door in a soft cotton robe, her hair wet from a shower. I froze again, just like the first time. She stepped aside and let me in. "You can wait for Ray if you want," she said. "But he won't be back until after midnight." I hesitated. I could have left, but I stayed. We sat in the kitchen, sipping tea, the silence between us thicker than usual. You know, she said softly, I used to think being a mother meant I had to forget who I was before motherhood.